Okay, good morning once again. Welcome back to our lecture in Intro to Computing. Ideally, we were supposed to have started at 7:30, but unfortunately, we couldn't meet at the time. But that's no problem. We would still push up to finish up what we to do today. So without wasting much time, I'm going to just delve into lecture 2. Lecture 1, yesterday, we spoke about what a computer is, the main computer system itself, the component that makes up the computer. I remember we spoke about the input-output devices, what the CPU is, some basic. Yes, there was a question that I asked. Why is a modem considered as an input device and an output device? Before we start, I need an answer. Can somebody tell us what they think the reason is for a reason for the modem being an input and output device? Anyone? Hello, members, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes, sir. With regards to the question that you asked, I think a modem is considered as an input and output device because first, you can transfer an information from one machine to another machine, from one computer to another computer through a modem. And in transferring, you extract an information from one computer. That is the output. And delivering it to another computer is also a form of input to that computer. That is why it's considered an input and output device. That is my opinion. I don't know if yesterday there was a clear explanation on that.
The answer. That is not it, but that's a good that is not
Come again.
That is not the answer, but that was a smart way of explaining. All right, that is not the answer, but it's a smart way of answering. That's good. Yes, can we have anybody?
For me, I think the modem receives data from the internet, which is input, and sends data into the internet, which is output. So therefore, it makes it an input and output device. So basically, okay.
Yeah, in a way, that also makes sense. Yeah, I'll say something like that. Yeah. Godwin, unfortunately, we couldn't see you yesterday. Can we see your face? I think you
Yes,
had.
you saw me yesterday. I introduced myself.
Oh, so there was a gentleman who said he has an issue with his video. All right, Lord, do you have anything to say?
Yeah.
Yes, Peku, yes.
So the modem is being considered as input and at the same time output because it is an input because what information is being sent to the chip for storage, and it is an output because information is being retrieved from the chip and it provides data to other components when it is when you request something from it, provide data from other provide data to other components. So that makes an output.
Okay, I think that is also quite okay. Is there any different answer to that? In one way or the other. Is there any excuse me? Is there any other answer? The ladies, our ladies, Mabel and Beatrice. Yes. Can we hear from you? Beatrice, for instance, was talking before the lecture began. Where is she? Mabel. Okay.
Says she was bullying me.
Beatrice, if you don't talk, -2. Mabel, if you also don't talk, -2 for attendance. Okay, so all of you are.
Okay, so modem is an input device and also an output device because it's been a sense so it can bring out information from the computer. That's what I understand.
I couldn't hear anything. They were breaking it. Anyway, let's continue with today's. Yes, indeed, a modem is classified as an input and output device mainly because, the last time I said computer does not understand anything apart from zeros and ones. So the signal that is in the air, that's the modem gets access to, is in the form of an analog signal. So that needs to be converted to a digital signal. That is the modulation. So modem modulates and also demodulates. So converting from analog to digital, that is where the demodulation happens. And that is what the computer understands. When everything is done and you want to send information to, it needs to find a way to modulate it for the analog signal to also catch and move on the data to different places. So that is what actually makes it a modem, an input and output device. So the answers that most of you gave is actually good. So we can move on with today's. Now, now that you have an idea what a computer is, we move straight to lecture 2, which is on classification of computers. You have an idea what a computer is. It is made up of this and that. There are certain things that you need to also know when it comes to the computer. When we see a computer, how do we know this computer is, how do we know the type of computer it is? Some of you might have seen some of these huge computers in your web at your workplaces and all. Of course, those computers too can be classified in a different way. So in today's lecture, the objective is to, first of all, introduce to you the general criteria which is used for classifying computers. So that is the first key thing. Secondly, to also categorize computers based on the size and explain the characteristics of each category. We also would, help you understand the resources that you probably would need to get a step further in the exploration, for further exploration. We'll also talk about how each of these computers relates with each other in a practical application in the industry. So these are the 4 main goals or objectives for today's lecture, or for lecture 2. I hope we will tackle lecture 3 too as well today. Yes, so when you hear of the types of computers, there are key things that you should look out for. To know the type of computer, you should first of all think about the size and its usage. So these 2 key points are very important. Are very important to know or to classify a type of a computer. First of all, the size of the computer, and secondly, the usage of the computer. So computers come in various types. It's designed for specific purposes and functionalities. And of course, the uses too as well. So the classification of a computer is based on the factors such as the size, the processing power, and the intended application. So based on these, the size, the processing power, and intended application, we can classify computers into 4 main categories. And that is what has been outlined over here. So we have the microcomputer, the mini computer, the mainframe computer, and the supercomputer. So these are the 4 main types of computers that exist currently in this world. Now, let's talk about each one of them. For the first one, which is the microcomputer. See, microcomputer is the first one. So obviously it means if we are moving up, then it means microcomputer is the smallest amongst all of these. So microcomputer is a type of computer that uses a microprocessor as its central processing unit, which is the CPU. So for microcomputers, we always have a CPU in there that helps in processing the information or data that we put in. The microcomputers are also commonly known as personal computers. So if you hear of a microcomputer, then it relates to the computers that are personal to us, the ones that we use, PCs or personal computers. So these computers are characterized by their compact size, affordability, and suitability for individual use. When we talk of affordability, that could be a little relative. Currently, if you want a very good computer, maybe an i5 or an i7, you should be thinking in the areas or in the regions of 5,000 to 10,000, or a little above 10,000 if you want a good one. So when we say affordability, it does not mean it is so affordable. But of course, when we say affordability here, the reason is comparing with the other types of computers, this computer is more cheaper than the others. Now, some of the uses of the PCs or personal computers or the microcomputers are word processing, home entertainment, internet banking, surfing the internet, etc. So the examples of some of these computers or personal PCs are the laptops, the desktop, and the PDAs. The PDA is the personal digital assistant. Currently, PDAs are not really being used. Some years back, it was mainly used, in organizing personal data. So that is PDAs. When we had smartphones, PDAs vanished. So this is an example of a personal computer. So most personal PCs are also termed as workstations. I'm sure in your offices, the PCs that you work on, this is the workstation, this is the workstation. So if you hear of a personal computer, most times it relates to, we can also classify them as a personal computer or a workstation. So that is what a mini computer is. I'm sorry, this is a mini computer, not micro computer. This is a mini computer. Sorry, this is a microcomputer. It's actually, yeah. So that is a microcomputer. It's the smallest amongst all of them. So these are examples of microcomputers. Now, there are merits and also demerits or advantages or disadvantages that relates to this particular type of computer. You're talking about demerits in terms of affordability. Microcomputers are generally more affordable compared to larger computing system, making them accessible to a broad range of users. So now most of us have a microcomputer. You can see from here, we classified a smartphone in somewhat more like a computer because some of the things that most of these computers can do, the smartphone can also do it. But in actual fact, we just put it in that category. But in actual fact, those computers are the ones, that you can sit behind with a keyboard working on and doing other things. Now, in terms of disadvantage for the microcomputer, we have limited processing power. So these are the disadvantages. These are the advantages. If we look at the second advantage, we have the user-friendly interfaces. Microcomputers typically feature user-friendly graphical user interface, which is the GUI. So if you have GUI, it means the graphical user interface. That makes them easy to use, even for individuals with minimal technical experience. So the personal PCs that we have, when you sit behind it, you see there are icons, there are buttons that when you click, it does something. That is what makes it user-friendly. And the idea behind is because we have a graphical user interface connected to it. So graphical user interface is very key when we talk of a micro computer. As you move on, you realize that the other types of computers, sometimes, the graphical user interface is quite reduced. With graphical user interface, what you see is what you get. The way it is displayed is exactly how it is. So we have personal productivity. Microcomputer enhance personal productivity by providing tools for document creation, communication, and organization. Applications such as word processing and spreadsheets contribute to efficient work processes. So that is for personal productivity. That is an advantage of microcomputer. And finally, we have in here entertainment. So virtually all the microcomputers or personal PCs serves as entertainment hub, supporting activities such as gaming, multimedia, playback, and online streaming. They provide a platform for a wide range of entertainment options. So I'm sure Lord and Ebenezer and virtually all the gentlemen here can, attest to the fact that most of the personal PCs that we have, we use it to play games, and also Netflix and chills. You invite a lady to your room and you see how organized your place is. You put on your laptop. If you don't have a TV, then you put up some romantic movie for everybody to watch. So that is one of the key things that we normally use our computers for. In fact, most people use their computer or their personal PCs for entertainment. You have your girlfriend or boyfriend visiting and, you let them feel comfortable. So entertainment is very key when it comes to the microcomputer. So these are the demerits or disadvantages. And obviously from here, you can see that microcomputers, while powerful for general use, may have limitations in terms of processing power compared to larger computing systems. And this can affect their performance for resource-intensive tasks. So with our personal PCs, there are certain things that we can't use our personal computers for, but rather we need a much bigger and more robust computers to do those functionalities for us. We can't, for instance, if your PC, even now, there are certain games that when you install on maybe an old PC, it will not run. The game will be paging or lagging. It will be breaking as you try to play those high intensive games. So that tells you that there are certain things that our personal PCs will not be able to do, but we need to go a step further to do other things. So we probably need to upgrade our PC or get other things running to be able to run certain specific software. A software like Photoshop or CorelDRAW, or possibly this software, AutoCAD. It's not everybody who will be able to run it on their PC. Your PC should have some kind of good processing power to be able to handle an AutoCAD, because certain rendering takes effects in AutoCAD and certain things go in there. So this is very key. This is a disadvantage of some of the personal PC. That does not mean we can run certain software. We can, but it depends on the type of software that we want to incorporate in our system. Limited storage capacity. Most of the PCs that we have, the maximum, currently, I think the maximum that most desktop or normal personal computers have is about 1 terabyte. If you are fortunate, you probably will have 2 terabytes. But in the other types of PCs, in other types of computers, you realize storage is not a problem. It goes beyond terabytes and 2 terabytes and so on. So the storage capacity of a microcomputer may be limited compared to larger systems. Users may need to manage storage space carefully or invest in external storage solutions. So this is the hardware limitation. We have hardware limitation as also one of the disadvantages of a microcomputer. Microcomputers may have limitations in terms of hardware configuration that they support. This can affect the ability to upgrade certain components or use specific peripherals. Remember that I said if you want to upgrade your RAM, you need to know the maximum RAM size you can put in the slots of that particular RAM. The RAM slots. You have to check before you purchase your RAM. So those hardware, there are certain hardware that you might not be able to help use to extend the functionality of your computer when it comes to the microcomputers. So hardware limitation, software compatibility issue. It's not every software that you can run on the personal PC. So some software application may not become compatible with a certain operating system or hardware configuration. And in this case, users may encounter challenges when trying to run specific programs on their microcomputer. In this case, our personal PC. Now let's talk about the second one, which is the mini computer. So you hear of a mini computer. This is how a mini computer looks like. Over here on the campus, we have some mini computers over here, which we've been using for other things. So a mini computer, which is also known as mid-range computer, is a type of computer that falls in size and processing power between the mainframe computer and the microcomputer. So we have the microcomputer, we have the mini computer, and we have the mainframe. So the mini computer falls between the microcomputer and the mainframe computer in terms of size and also processing power. Mini computers were popular in the 1960s through the 1980s and were often used for scientific and engineering applications as well as business data processing. It includes control of automated teller machines. So like the ATMs, when you stand behind an ATM, most of the PCs that are running behind the scene to help bring out the cash falls within a mini computer. You know, in terms of usage, for microcomputers, which is the personal PCs, normally it is being used by one person at a time. So if Henry is, if Kweku is using his computer, like how I'm using my computer to lecture now, it means a second person will not be able to use it. So in terms of usage, we have one user using the computer at a time. That is for the microcomputers. For mini computers, we can have 2 or more people using it at a time. So for instance, when you were doing your online registration, or when you conducted a VLE exams or quizzes, you can see you have about 2 or 3 people coming into, logging onto the VLE server and taking the quiz at the same time. So it means mini computers, they can support, in terms of usage, we can have 2 or more people, accessing it at the same time. So that is about a mini computer. So mini computers, its use includes control of automated teller machine, hospital patients registration, inventory control for supermarkets, insurance claims processing, and so on. So behind the scene, there is a server. Most times when we talk of mini computers, we are talking about a server situated somewhere. So where so many people can talk to it. So in the same way, the ATM, the simple computer that you go behind the ATM and you slot your card in, behind the scene, there is a server probably located somewhere in Accra. That is serving everybody trying to remove money from the ATM at the same time. So those are how many computers is. For hospital patients registration, when you go to the OPD, if your records are already found at the hospital, the only thing that you need to do is to give them your cards. Then they look out for your records. They pull out something for you, and now virtually everything is digital. So you move on to join the queue and see the doctor, and he also sees that you've probably made payments at the OPD, and now you're coming for consultation, and so on and so forth. So there is a server behind the scene that is holding everybody's record, and the personal or the workstation that we use to connect to that server is a personal computer. In this case, we can call it a workstation, but behind the scene, there is a server that contains everybody's record. And we can have so many of these workstations connected to the server. And in this case, we will call that particular server as a mini computer. So this is an example of a mini computers. Those of you who get a chance to come to campus and you want to see how it looks, some of them looks like, I can arrange for the ICT unit to show you some of these type of pieces or computers. So these are the importance and the disadvantages of the mini computer. In terms of size, mini computers are quite bigger than the microcomputers. They are bigger than the microcomputers. That is one thing you should know. So processing power. So mini computers provide more processing power than microcomputers, making them suitable for moderate scale computing tasks. This is obvious. Multi-user capability. Mini computers are designed to support multiple users simultaneously. That is the example I gave you, making them suitable for time-sharing systems and also environments where concurrent access is necessary. So it has multi-user capability. It is cost effectiveness. Of course, the comparison is between the microcomputer and the mainframe. So many computers are generally more cost effective than the mainframe. They offer a balance between processing power and affordability, making them suitable for mid-range or mid-size organization. Finally, centralized computing. So mini computers often serve as a centralized computing system within organizations supporting various departments and also business functionalities. As I said, the server, using UMAT as an example, the VLE server is at the ICT unit. Then all of you are able to use your phone and so on to connect to it. And it's able to serve everybody at the same time. So there is a centralized computing situated somewhere, and we all have access to that. In terms of disadvantage, it has limited processing power compared to the mainframe computer. Sometimes the mini computer may struggle to handle extremely large scale computation and data intensive tasks. Now, you see how Facebook is accessible to everybody worldwide when it comes to. So this tells you that, we have about over 6 billion people in the world. And if all of us are connecting to Facebook, you can imagine the kind of traffic that will go to Facebook. So in this case, a mini computer, which is a server, will not be able to serve all of us. The computer will crash. We will not be able to, the number of people that are going to access it concurrently is quite huge. So in terms of processing power, the mini computer will not be able to handle all of us, everybody in the world. No, we will not be able to handle it. The PC will crash. So that is one disadvantage of a mini computer. Of course, it can handle about 500,000 people at a go. But when it goes beyond a certain number, it will not be able to handle it. So limited scalability. While mini computers are scalable to some extent, they might have limitation in terms of maximizing processing power and storage capacity. That's capacity that can be achieved. In terms of cost, it is less expensive compared to the mainframe computer, but more expensive compared to the microcomputer. So that is the disadvantage. So technical obsolescence. Technological obsolescence. So mini computers may become technologically obsolete more quickly than the mainframe. Keeping up with advances may require frequent upgrade. So for a mini computer to perform and do certain things, we need to push in, more hardware, more RAM, and so on. So it gets to a point we might not be able to upgrade again. So its usage will be a little obsolete. And of course, this is compared to the mainframe computer. So these are the disadvantages of the mini computer. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the mainframe computer. And as you can see here, this is an example of a mainframe. Those of you who have watched 24, the series, Jack Bauer, I'm sure CTU, you saw some computers in there. Those are mainframe pieces. So mainframe computers are powerful, large-scale computing systems designed to handle extensive data processing and also supports numerous user users simultaneously. So in terms of numerous, it means so many users can be on it at the same time. So that is about the mainframe computer. So these computers are known for their reliability, scalability, and robustness, making them suitable for critical business applications, large-scale data processing, and also transaction processing. An example is the IBM Z series Unisys ClearPath. So we can confidently say that Facebook probably or Google would have search in their data centers will have these types of computers in there. First, now if you are using an Android, there's a huge probability you have a Gmail account. So in the same way, that makes it possible for all of us to have access to our data, our Gmail, email, mainly because there is a mainframe computer that is situated somewhere that is serving us with the traffic or information that we need. So that is a mainframe computer. So areas where we normally use the mainframe computer are what has been outlined here in the airline reservation, in big banks with hundreds of branches located all over the world. A bank like Barclays, Barclays is virtually everywhere. It's virtually everywhere. I don't know if Societe Generale too has, I think it's an international bank. So banks that span so many geographical locations or countries, there is a high probability they are using mainframe computers because they're going to serve lots of customers or clients. Big universities with thousands of enrollments. The key word is thousands of enrollments. UMass, we don't have a mainframe. What we have is combinations of mini computers. For big institutions like Harvard, those big institutions, there's a huge possibility that they are using mainframes. Natural gas and oil exploration companies normally use mainframe, because they want to gather data. They push in, they need computers with high processing power to be able to do the oil exploration. Space vehicle control, weather forecasting, animated cartoons. There are some companies that are, those huge companies that come out with animated cartoons. Some of them need mainframe computers because they need to be able to render their their models to come out with very good, graphics. They need a huge GPU to be able to do these computation of these complex algorithms and all. So animated cartoon companies, the big ones, possibly Disney could possibly have an example of a mainframe computer. So some mainframes are designed to be extremely fast and called supercomputers. So it is used for space launching, monitoring, and also controlling. So these are the merits of mainframe computers, and these are the demerits of mainframe computer. It's just the same as the others. So this one is self-explanatory. I will give it to you to have access to it. So now we move on to the biggest of all, which is the supercomputers. Supercomputers are most powerful and advanced computing system available, designed to tackle complex calculations and also simulation of unprecedented speed. When you need speed at the highest of rates, possibly you should be thinking about the supercomputer. So these machines are used for scientific research, simulation, modeling, and tasks that require massive computational power. Example, IBM Summit, Sandway, Tehu Light are all examples of a supercomputer. So in terms of characteristics, they are extremely powerful, fast, and are used for complex scientific calculations. So you can see how big and robust these ones are. And that is about the supercomputers. So these are quite expensive compared to the the mainframe computers. In terms of speed and processing power, these ones are top notch. They do the job. So they have exceptional processing power. In this case, supercomputers provide unparalleled processing speed, allowing them to perform complex calculation and also simulation at a scale not achievable by the conventional computers that we have, the mini, the micro, and even the mainframe. Weather forecasting, also employ the supercomputers. It depends on the type of what we are looking for. So supercomputers are essential for weather forecasting and climate modeling, contributing to an accurate prediction of weather patterns and also long-term climate trend. And yesterday I said almost every day we come out with huge number of data. We produce, humans comes out with huge number of data. So you need some kind of, PCs that can analyze these huge data that we produce. So if we want such PC to perform these tasks virtually every day, we need to go for computers that have higher processing power to do those computations for us. National security. Supercomputers contribute to national security by aiding in tax setters, cryptography, cybersecurity, and defense-related simulations. And finally, financial modeling. In the financial sector, supercomputers are used for complex mathematical modeling, risk analysis, and simulation in areas such as algorithm trading, portfolio optimization, and economic forecasting. But these are advantages of the supercomputers. And of course, these are the disadvantages. In terms of cost, they are very expensive compared to all the other types of computers that exist. And the cost usually includes not only the hardware, but also the infrastructure, power, consumption, and cooling. Because they will be, working on complex calculations, they draw more power. Those of you who have heard of Bitcoin mining, if you use your PC for Bitcoin mining, there's a high probability your PC might crash unless you have a special, GPU to do the mining. It's not every PC that will be able to do Bitcoin mining. You need a GPU that will be able to, gather data and do these complex calculations for you. Now, I think some Ghanaians have been doing that, Bitcoin mining. They buy a desktop computer, they look out for a GPU, which is quite good, robust, and then be mining. Usually in a day, I think people get between $4 to $10 just by mining Bitcoin. The PC would have to be on 24/7. So in a month, some are able to get about 100 to 200 or 300, US dollars just by mining Bitcoin. So that is also possible. That was just by the way, but of course that does not fall within supercomputer. So heat generation. If I'm doing complex calculations at the fastest of speeds, there's a likelihood I'll be generating heat. Huge amounts of heat, will be coming from my brain, in quotes. So the PCs, such computers will be generating huge, amount of heat. So of course, you need an efficient cooling system to be able to prevent the overheating and also maintain the optimal performance. About 3 or 4 years ago, the computer science students, we went to MTN and Vodafone data center. And from there, you could see in their data center, that is where the servers and their computers that serves the whole Ghana is. So the data center, you realize that the way we position our air condition at the top of in our room at the data center, air is actually blowing from the ground. So they mount some metals where all these computers are on top of the metals and air is blowing from the grounds up and you feel air blowing you, that is a way of ensuring that, the PCs or the computers that they do have there, it doesn't get overheated. So most of these telcos have these kind of structures in place. But of course, I will still not classify them as supercomputers. No, they would not. But possibly they might be between a combination of so many of the mini computers yielding into a mainframe computer. All right, technological obsolescence. So that's also, it's just like the other ones too as well. So those are the types of computers that exist. So this brings us to the end of lecture 2. I'm quickly going to launch lecture 3, but before that, if any of you have a question, please do ask before we move on to lecture 3. Anyone with a question?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, right. So quickly, let's move on to lecture 3. I'm going to stop this and come in again so that I have the recording for lecture 2. So I'll stop this and let's rejoin. If you see me out, let's try and rejoin again so I can record lecture 3 too as well.